This video is brought to you by the Equity Assistance Center within the Office of Legal Services at the Arkansas Division of Elementary and Secondary Education. The Equity Assistance Center defines equity as the product of a process that ensures opportunity, inclusion, and fairness. Educational equity recognizes that some students should receive differential treatment to achieve fairness. The Equity Assistance Center has the responsibility of assisting school systems in identifying gaps in fairness and in their compliance with regulations that prohibit discrimination. The purpose of this video is to describe the necessary Section 504 processes that lead to equitable experiences for students. Some Section 504 procedures are explicitly defined by the federal statute, and others recommended by the U.S. Department of Education Office for Civil Rights, and suggested here at the Equity Assistance Center. Some elements of the Section 504 process are developed locally by the district or charter school. Ultimately, it is the student's Section 504 team that determines the individualized supports needed to ensure a free and appropriate public education, FAPE. The first element of the Section 504 process is the referral of a student for an evaluation to determine if the student should be protected from discrimination under Section 504. A Section 504 referral is submitted when there is a suspicion that a student might have a disability. It is the responsibility of everyone to earnestly look for students in need of protection under Section 504. The term child find is not explicitly stated in the Section 504 regulation, but the school system has an affirmative duty and responsibility to seek out and refer any student when they suspect that they have a physical or mental impairment. Once a referral is submitted, the next stage of the Section 504 process is for the school system to respond to the submitted referral. A school system may have in their procedures to respond to a referral by either automatically initiating their Section 504 evaluation process or by determining on a case-by-case basis if a student should receive a Section 504 evaluation. The Office for Civil Rights requires parental consent be provided prior to the initial Section 504 evaluation. Preparation for the Section 504 evaluation should include gathering information about the student to be reviewed by the Section 504 team. The third component of this process is to evaluate the student. Section 504 describes that the evaluation must include a review of a variety of informational sources. This could include the student's work, records, and any observations from parents, practitioners, teachers, and others who are familiar with the student's needs. The Section 504 team's understanding of the student and how the disability impacts their access to what the school provides is paramount. This knowledge is needed to determine both eligibility and the most appropriate supports. Although the Section 504 evaluation assesses specific areas of need, it does not diagnose a disability. The next part of the Section 504 process is to determine the student's eligibility for protection under Section 504. The student must have a mental or physical impairment that substantially limits a major life activity. The team decides by looking at the information about the student to determine if there is a substantial limitation. A substantial limitation might be determined by comparing the student to a peer without a disability. The Section 504 team could gauge how frequent the impairment affects the major life activity, or consider the extent to which supports are currently being used to aid the student. The Office for Civil Rights describes that this major life activity does not have to be related to learning. If found not eligible under Section 504, the student should be supported in other ways to improve their success. The fifth piece of this process is the team's development of a Section 504 plan if the student needs implemented supports. What is included in the plan must be based on information about the student to best support the area where access is limited. What's to be implemented should be specifically stated in the plan, easily understood, and consistently implemented as described. Individuals with the implementation role should be notified and, as needed, explained what the actual implementation should look like for the student. The supports or accommodations should, when implemented, open up or improve the student's access to what was previously inaccessible due to the student's disability. The final two components of the Section 504 process are performed on an intermittent or on an as-needed basis: the review of the Section 504 plan and periodic reevaluations. The Equity Assistance Center suggests that supports listed in a student's Section 504 plan be monitored for effectiveness and adjusted when plan supports are seen to be ineffective. Typically, a school system reviews Section 504 plans at the start or end of the school year. The Section 504 plan is to be a living document and may be adjusted by teams at any time to better ensure that the student has access to the school environment, including the curriculum. Section 504 requires schools to conduct re-evaluations periodically. Section 504 regulations do not set a specific time frame for reevaluations, but the Office for Civil Rights considers the IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, timeline of reevaluations occurring at least every 3 years as a way to meet the intent of the Section 504 regulation. Section 504 also requires schools to conduct re-evaluations before a significant change in the student's placement or services. The Office for Civil Rights considers a removal from the educational program for more than 10 consecutive school days as a significant change in placement requiring re-evaluation. Section 504 regulations describe the rights of students and their parents. The Equity Assistance Center suggests that parents be provided a notice of their rights under Section 504 at multiple stages of the Section 504 process. The forms and documents used in a school's Section 504 process are determined by each institution. The Equity Assistance Center provides sample forms as a resource. The Arkansas Division of Elementary and Secondary Education Equity Assistance Center provides Section 504 support to all members of the school community and may be accessed by phone or electronically. For additional videos on Section 504, access the Equity Assistance Center's webpage at the Arkansas Division of Elementary and Secondary Education.